If you are thinking about getting into virtual machines, Ubuntu and Virtualbox is the perfect place to start. My name is Yudullah, you're watching Candid.Technology, and in this video we are talking about how you can install Ubuntu on a Virtualbox machine. Now if you're looking to play around with virtual machines, installing Ubuntu on Virtualbox is actually one of the simplest virtual machines that you can set up. The first thing that you have to do is you have to download Ubuntu ISO. So for that, you're going to have to open up your browser and you can just Google Ubuntu for the link, but head over to ubuntu.com if you just want to directly head over to the website. So we are right here, head over to products and then click Ubuntu desktop. Click on download. And then it will show you all of the different versions and everything. We just recommend downloading the latest LTS or long-term support version, which means you get 5 years of free security and maintenance update, which can be extended to 10 years with Ubuntu Pro. We don't really need Pro for this one, so we can just go ahead and download the 24.04 LTS version. It's a 6 GB download. For some reason, Ubuntu servers aren't the fastest, so it may take a while, but as soon as you click that button, the download will start. So let me just show you. So yeah, you don't have to sign up for the newsletter. The download should appear any second now. Yeah. So as you can see, I already have the ISO downloaded. So we will now jump to VMware. So you can either use VMware Workstation Pro or you can use VirtualBox depending on which virtualization software you're using. I prefer both differently. Let us know if you want us to make a video describing what both of them do and what are the differences. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to go ahead with VirtualBox. Let it load up. Okay. So here we are. And now what we're going to do is click on this new button, which will open up the create new virtual machine bar. Alright, now I'm going to name this my Ubuntu test install, let's say, and now it will ask you to select an ISO image. So just go ahead and click other. This will open up the browser. Go ahead and select the ISO that you've downloaded. Make sure that you don't move this ISO file once you've selected it here, otherwise you're going to have to come back and update the path. Select the ISO, click open, and now it will pretty much pick up everything else. So it will already detect your OS type, can be installed unattendedly. So you can just click a few buttons and it will automatically get started, which is great. So we're going to click next. Now it will ask you for an unattended OS install setup. So just type in a username and password. I will just type in root and then my passwords. And you can choose to install the guest editions as well. This is one of the good things about installing Ubuntu right up, because what it does is that it gives you all of the fancy options preset installed, because it's a really popular operating system and it's really very frequently installed as a virtual machine. So we are good to go. You can select the VirtualBox ISO here, the guest editions. So what the guest editions does is that it can install some extra features. These features can include anything from drag and drop support between the host and the guest to bidirectional clipboards and things like that. It's a good thing to have. So just go ahead and make sure that it's installed there. It will also ask you for the host name, which is wrong in this case. So I'm just going to enter the host name as test Ubuntu. And domain name, you don't really have to worry about this because these are additional options, but just make sure you enter a host name that is right and a domain name that you can remember. So we're going to go ahead and click next. Now it will ask you what kind of hardware you want to assign to your virtual machine. So depending on how much RAM on your system, how much RAM you have on your system, please assign at least 4 to 8 GB of RAM. I have 16 GB, so I can assign all the way. I can just drag the slider all the way to 12 GB almost, but I'm just going to leave it at around 4096 or 4 GB. As for processors, once again, it depends on how many cores your CPU has. I just like leaving it at 2. Go ahead and click next. Now it's time to create a virtual hard disk. A virtual hard disk is the same as a real hard disk. It's just where your virtual machine's data will go. Now you can choose an existing hard disk file if you have one, but I'm assuming you don't. So we're going to go ahead and create a new one. You can select the size. So I am just going to select, so yeah, let's give it 15 GB of space and then click next once again. Now this will give you a summary of everything that we're going to do. We've figured out the disk, we figured out the hardware, we figured out the username and everything else. So you can just go ahead and click finish. So as you can see, as soon as I've clicked the finish button, now it's powering the VM up. So it's going to take a little bit of a little while and we can just get it running. It's already running in the background. So yeah, so this is essentially your new VM already up and running. Ideally, I would want you to make a couple of other changes before we start this VM, but we'll just let it boot once. Unsupported hypervisor, please switch to supported graphics to avoid problems. So now we're running into GPU issues here, which is something that I'll tell you how to fix. But before that, we'll just wait to see if we can get this installation to boot. So as you can see, despite getting a few graphics errors in the beginning, our Ubuntu installation is actually up and running and ready to go. From this point onwards, you just have to be a little patient and go ahead and install Ubuntu. But we're not going to do it. I'm just waiting for this preparation dialog box to finish. And then we'll make a few graphics changes so that we can get the best performance possible out of our machine. I'm sure you heard that. But anyways, this is the regular Ubuntu installation. So you can just click next. Choose your language, set up your accessibility options, choose your keyboard layout, connect to the internet. You can use wired or Wi-Fi. It doesn't detect Wi-Fi devices by default, but since you're running it in a VM, it can just use your computer's Wi-Fi and then use that as a wired connection to the VM itself. So you don't really have to sort of juggle around networking terms there. Just click next. An app is available for the installation. You can update it if you have the time, or you can skip it for now. And then you can either install Ubuntu or you can just try it. So I'm just going to try it so that I can show you how it works on a virtual machine. We'll give it a second for everything to load up, and yeah, it's basically running. Okay, so files, Rhythmbox, LibreOffice Writer, App Center, Help. Here are your volumes, and then you can just click this to show all the apps. You can just launch the terminal from there, and as you can see, everything is working and seems to be in order. So I can just run my commands. I think even sudo who am I, so it will tell me I'm the root user. So this is at this point in time a fully functional Ubuntu installation running on your system. You can test it, or if you're ready to install, you can just go ahead and double click this icon and the installation should start up in a second. If you're worried about performance, you will have to be, because virtual machine performance depends a lot on your own hardware and your own system. I'm running the system right now with a bunch of background tasks. There's a screen recording going on, so the performance is taking a hit at the moment. But overall, you should be good to go if you have a relatively newer system. Regardless, we are going to close this down. So I'm just going to power off the machine. And now we're going to make some setting changes. So go ahead and click on settings right here. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is head over to display and make sure that it gets all 128 MB of video memory. You can't push it any further, or at least I haven't found a way to push it any further, but make sure it has the maximum you can give it. Monitor count is exactly what it sounds like if you want to use multiple monitors. So it will appear as multiple windows on your desktop. You can just increase this slider and you can get as many monitors as you want. I'm just going to keep it at 1 for now. While we're at it, just head over to the system tab. TPM, you can select 1.2 or 2. Ubuntu seems to run fine on none. So if you get any CPU authentication or CPU security errors, just switch it to TPM 2.0 and they will be gone. We already have our base memory assigned. If you feel like the installation is a little laggy, you can always increase it. Processor, once again, we already have 2 cores assigned. You can always increase it if you feel performance is worse. And then hardware virtualization is enabled, so we are good to go on that front. And that's about everything you need to do to make sure that the installation or the virtual machine itself runs in the best possible state. You can play around with the network settings if you know what you're doing. You can play around with the USB port settings, although there is a good chance that you won't have to. And that is how easy it is to install Ubuntu on a virtual machine in Virtualbox on Windows 11. If you like these videos, consider subscribing, give us a thumbs up, press the bell icon, and tell us in the comments below if you have any thoughts or if you just want to leave us a comment. If you'd like to know more about tech, visit our website, Candid.Technology. Follow us on social media, follow me on Instagram or Twitter, and we'll see you in the next video.